Hey, howdy, party people. Hytale's been out for about 2 weeks now, and I think that makes this an appropriate time for sort of an early thoughts, sort of review type conversation. I wanted to provide my perspective on the game, and if you aren't into the game yet, or if you haven't bought it, maybe it'll give you some perspective on whether or not it's for you, or whether or not you should wait a little while and maybe pick it up later on. Also, real quick, everybody say hello to Ishtar. She's a sweetheart. She's not gonna let me hold her like this for very long, but I just thought everybody should get to meet her, so say hi, Ishtar. Sweet girl. And with that important introduction out of the way, let's get into the actual review. Now, for a little bit of context, I have a lot of experience with games like Minecraft and Terraria and, countless other survival games like I'm sure a lot of you do. Minecraft in particular, if I had to guess, because they won't tell you, I probably have around 4,000 to maybe 4,500 hours in it. I've been playing since around the 1.1, 1.2 update, give or take. And I was a kid at the time, so I had lots of free time. As I would for a number of years to follow. So I got a lot of hours in Minecraft. And I would say I stopped my peak of playing around the 1.7, 1.8 update, but like all of us, I'm sure, you always end up going back to Minecraft, at least for a little while. So it's always been there for me, but I would say that's probably my survival game I have the most experience in. Probably my video game I have the most experience in. And then Terraria remains my most played game on Steam at the moment with around like 3,200 hours. Again, started playing it when I was a kid, had lots of free time, and I love Terraria to death. If you haven't seen, they're releasing a new update. Looks pretty good so far. I'm pretty excited. I might have to do another playthrough. Maybe you'll see it on the channel, maybe you won't, but I might have to hop back in for that one. And of course, as far as Hytale is concerned, I've been waiting for Hytale since the trailer day. That was when I first heard about the game, and when I got really excited for it, I was one of the earlier people to watch it. And my sister and I were both so excited about the idea of it, and now here we are both playing it and enjoying creating stuff for it. I'm making videos, and I'm trying to do builds, and a little tiny bit of modding. She's doing a lot more modding, and she's very good at it. If she has her stuff up anywhere, I will plug it in the description. But I am absolutely blown away that we actually have the game, that we're playing it right now, and after all this time, it's here, and it is as good as it is. It's nothing short of a miracle. And I am just so happy to have it. And again, this is a bit of an early review, so bear in mind that all of these thoughts are not final. I have spent a lot of time playing the game so far, but of course, it's still early, and I've spent a lot of time making content for it, and a lot of time at work. So I haven't had all the time in the world to completely familiarize myself with the game, but I have played, if I had to guess, probably 30 to 45 hours, something like that. So I have an idea of how things work. I've tried creative, I've tried exploration, I have done a little bit of modding, I've tried to dip my toes in the water everywhere I can to get an impression of what the game is like in its current state. And mind you, as of recording this, the second update has just released. I haven't really played on it yet. I played for like a couple hours this morning, but all of my thoughts are based on after the first update has released. And this review is going to be broken up into 3 primary sections. We're going to have a section for exploration mode, a section for creative mode, and a section for mods, and then ultimately a conclusion. We're going to start with exploration mode. Now, exploration mode is probably the thing I've spent most of my time in so far. I do have a Let's Play series running if that would interest you. You can jump in at any episode. There's not really a continuity to it, but it is all in one world, mostly vanilla, except for a couple quality of life mods. And I have a list of bullet points here, so I'm just going to kind of run through them and talk about each a little bit. We're going to start with balance. Balance is in a pretty good state in Hytale, I would say, right now. It's not perfect. There are certain things that can be a little frustrating, namely just the way that drops work when you die. My fiance has been having some problems with performance on her machine with the game, and every time she dies, her items, for whatever reason, despawn almost immediately, and even if they don't, getting back is really difficult if you're having frame drops. It feels like it would be a lot more fair if perhaps there was something along the lines of a backpack or gravestone drop when you die that stays there permanently until you can collect your items, much along the lines of 7 Days to Die or many other games in the genre. As far as the actual balancing of enemies, for the most part, they feel pretty fair. Obviously, there's going to be a lot of tweaking to do. Right now, for the most part, enemies that just kind of come at you with random melee attacks aren't going to be too bad unless you get outnumbered. In that case, usually you're really just going to have to try and run or just block your way up to safety. Personally, I haven't had a whole lot of trouble in my survival world. There are times where, say, a bug will affect the balancing, but I don't really want to judge it based on that. I think that the strongest enemies in the game are a little bit annoying, perhaps. They're maybe not strong by design, but again, we've only seen a small portion of what I assume will be the final scale of progression, so I don't really want to judge the balancing too much yet, because there's only basically a sliver of the game. You're only getting like the first, half, third, what have you for the game. So I don't know how things are going to scale ultimately. Right now, everything's kind of on an even playing field. Obviously there's better gear you can get in the form of upgrading the metal material of your weapons and your armor, and that does make a difference. But at the end of the day, it does feel like you can get out of most situations if you're skilled enough, which I wouldn't say takes terribly long to get there. Right now, pain points I would point out are the Outlander camps. They tend to be kind of brutal if you're not careful. I would also point out the cave wrecks. Obviously, it's going to be tanky, but it is so tanky. Oh my god. A lot of people talk about the frogs. I don't know if I would say they're as huge a problem as everybody seems to think they are. They did just get tweaked at Update 2. I've encountered one since the new update, and they seem better. To be honest, I thought they were pretty funny, but there are situations where if you're trying to get your stuff and the same frog is there every single time and he just keeps knocking into lava, you're probably going to get a little fed up. Again, that would be fixed by changes to the death system, but we'll have to wait and see if that becomes an official feature. There are mods right now that add gravestones. I haven't tried any of them, but that's a promising idea. I think it's something they should probably look into. There are already gravestone models in the game, so if they wanted to do it quickly, they probably could, but if they wanted to do it properly, it probably wouldn't take too horribly long. Another pain point I would say right now is that bows are extremely strong. They will absolutely destroy any enemy at long range because either you're too high up for them to path to you, or you're too far away for them to even aggro onto you. This is something that I believe they're working on, but it's a little bit strong right now. There are situations where you'll think they'll be too far away and they will still aggro, so you still have to be careful if you're not, pillaring up or anything. I would say that some of the better points of balancing right now is just the way that blocking feels, the way that stamina works. All of that feels great. I've heard good things about the PvP. I haven't tried it myself, but I've heard that it feels pretty balanced. The variety of weapons, they all feel pretty good. They're not perfectly even, but they're pretty close. For starters, it's in a pretty good place. Next, we're going to talk about content. Now, the content in the game right now is mostly sandbox-oriented. There's not really a central goal. There's nothing you have to do, which is fine. And a lot of the times you might be feeling like, man, I really just need something to do. There's no quests yet exactly. There's no miniature, repeatable gameplay loop system. But the amount of actual content in terms of just exploring and building and just features and mechanics, I think it's at a pretty good starting place. Again, you're probably going to hear me say that a lot, but I think it's true. Because right now, if you have a goal for yourself, everything else works perfectly around you to support that goal and give context to that goal. So if you're finding yourself bored, it's a lot like Minecraft. You have to make your own game for yourself in a way. You have to gamify your own experience. Yeah, you can mindlessly explore and mine and yada yada and build up chests full of crap. But if you don't have something to build or something to do in exploring that you have created for yourself, there's not really going to be much of a game for you right now. So if you're coming into this for more of an adventure experience and less of a sandbox experience, it might not be there yet for you. There might be some servers that kind of correct that. You can maybe go enjoy some PvP where it's going to kind of have more of a helping hand guiding you towards what to do. Or there's going to be probably some RPG-driven servers in the near future. I don't know if we've seen any yet, but you could always look into something like that. Personally, I'm not having a problem coming up with goals yet. Maybe a few months down the line, it's going to be, in exploration, I don't really have a whole lot that I feel like I need to do. I kind of built all the stuff that I can think of, and the updates have maybe slowed down at that point, which I don't expect, but it's possible. Anything's possible. Nothing is promised. Just don't beat yourself up too bad if you end up in that place either. But as it stands, if you have any experience playing a sandbox game and kind of making fun for yourself in a world that already has, a good number of mechanics and content and building options for you to mess with, then you'll probably have a great time. If you don't have experience in something like that, maybe you'll find yourself a little lost. But all the more reason to give it a shot, because that means for the first time you can kind of go into it fresh and not having had those experiences before. Build up a singular world, focus on that, and just do a bunch of crazy stuff, and maybe take some kind of a idea randomizer or a build idea randomizer online, or ask your friends for build ideas, or stuff you could do while exploring, or make challenges for yourself, make videos. There's a lot of ways to make it fun, but you're not going to have a lot of that core progression that they hope to add later on. You're not going to see any story content for the most part outside of some tooltips and prefabs, and there are a lot of prefabs. I'll give them that. So far, I've had a very good experience with the random prefab spawning. Eventually, yeah, you're probably going to run out. But so far, personally, in the amount that I've played, I've found a lot of new experiences while playing, and I haven't really run into any duplicate structures. Plus, a big part of the content is going to be, which we're going to talk about later, is going to be creative mode. And creative mode offers you so much to play with. So if you get bored of exploration, creative mode, literally you can do whatever you want, especially once you start implementing mods, which we're also going to talk about. There's no limit to how much fun you can make the game. It's up to you, So yeah, you're not going to be getting a lot of that core progression that you might want from an RPG or an adventure game, which this is eventually going to be both of those things. Well, maybe not so much an RPG, but an adventure with RPG elements, in addition to also being a sandbox, which it already is. I think there's so much to kind of just feast on right now, and it's such a fresh game, and if you're gonna get this game, I do think you should get it sooner rather than later, so you can enjoy the absolutely huge influx of people to the community that we're enjoying right now. Eventually it's going to slow down. Every game plateaus at some point, some high, some low. This game, if I had to guess, it's probably going to plateau high because it seems to have a fast dev pace and a lot of content to begin with, and it is built on the bones of games that people already love. Next up is going to be the game's identity. Again, the game doesn't really have a core lore or story or narrative or story-driven quests yet, but it does have a strong visual identity and a great musical identity. When you're walking around the world of Orbis, or the echoes of Orbis, I guess, in Hytale for the first time, you will have a lot of those moments where you stop and for a second you really just enjoy how delightfully beautiful the game is. And it's not perfect yet. There's a lot they want to do. There's a lot they want to add visually and atmospherically and weather-wise. But there will still be moments where you are completely taken aback by how fresh the game feels. And at the end of the day, that's what's going to carry your experience in this game for a few months. And then hopefully later on, you'll have new content to mess with, new mechanics, many more mods. We already have thousands of mods out in record time. So don't dread if maybe you're thinking there isn't enough to mess with right now, because it's going to have that fresh, it's going to have that honeymoon period for the game for you. You've got at least a couple of weeks of having a great time, and there is enough content to feast on for the time being, and there's going to be more coming real soon. As far as the music and sound design goes, this is one of the game's greatest strengths. The soundtrack by Garvin is excellent, and the atmosphere of it all, the way that the sounds change depending on where you are and what you're stepping on. Yes, games like Minecraft or many, many others have that kind of Foley, but the way that Hytale does it and the specific Foley that it has is so strong. I do look forward to seeing improvements made to it. It's not perfect, but when you're in the game, it's really easy to appreciate just the way the game sounds at all times. The sound design is excellent, it's immersive, it's detailed and complicated. And at the end of the day, even when the sound design might not be at its peak quite yet, the music is going to come in and completely swing you away somewhere different. Because it is absolutely one of the best survival game scores I've heard in ages, and it has over 200 plus tracks, including ones that haven't made it into the game yet. And they're all great, and they completely immerse you. And there is a motif, a theme to the game that is just, it is delightful. I absolutely love it. If you have not listened to the Hytale theme itself, I highly recommend you do. It is so catchy. It has been completely stuck in my head for the past 2 weeks. You should really give it a listen. And just the variety in the music that exists throughout all the different biomes and settings and types of interactions you can have with the world around you, it really completely pulls you into the game. I feel like, personally, for me, The music is one of those areas where I don't know how much there is left to improve. It's already in such a great place, and the only thing there is to do is to keep that up as they continue to add new content, areas to explore. Once World Gen V2 comes in, there will probably be a lot of work done to retool the music into that world. It's in such a great place. I don't see how they could improve it. If you're a fan of video game soundtracks, this is one of those great ones, one of those all-timers. And next up, we'll talk about multiplayer a little bit. Now, multiplayer is supposed to be seamless for peer-to-peer play, but you can also, of course, have dedicated servers. Now, my experience with peer-to-peer has not been particularly seamless yet. Unfortunately, I have some issue where, as I'm sure this is going to sound familiar for a lot of you guys, my router configuration restricts my ability to connect to certain other players that do not have restricted router configurations, and I don't have access to my router's admin panel, and it appears that nobody in my household does. So, I have no way to fix this outside of using third-party tools that I don't want to name because I'm not being paid to. And while those work, the game is a little bit laggy and stuttery when they do work, and it's just kind of inconvenient. I imagine they are working to improve the kind of hole punching and everything of peer-to-peer connections, but as it stands, just opening the game, giving your friend a code, having them join in, has mixed results. And hopefully they do work on this, because right now it's a little bit frustrating if you just want to play with your friends without having to pay for a server. Of course, server hosting is an option. I haven't personally tried it yet, but I have heard good things from those that have set servers up and who have used servers that have been set up. So far, things look good on the server end. They just rolled out an auto updater. They are clearly working hard to support dedicated server hosting. I just hope they do the same for peer-to-peer soon. Now, as for actual multiplayer gameplay, it's excellent. I mean, like any survival game, especially ones that lean more towards the sandbox side of things than the adventure side of things, right now, your multiplayer experience is going to be great. It's going to be every bit as good as a single-player experience, and even better. Of course, it's always going to depend on the people you play with, and the goals you make for yourselves, but right now, multiplayer is an absolute blast. And if you're into PvP, the PvP is also supposed to be very satisfying. Again, I haven't really tried the PvP yet. If anybody knows a good server I could try out, let me know, maybe I'll give it a shot. And next, we'll talk about the sort of sandbox nature of the game. Again, the building is so satisfying. There are so many options, even though we don't necessarily have an unlimited list of tile sets just yet. What we do have so far is so manipulatable and so fun to work with, and honestly, it's a pretty good stack of them already, that I don't feel very restricted when it comes to the building. Yes, I'm excited to see what new tile sets we get and what new options we get eventually as time goes on, but already I feel very content with what we have, and building this game is super fun. I would say if you love building in games, this has got to be up there in the top 5 games for building so far, for me personally. You might not feel the same way. Perhaps you'd like more tile sets, perhaps you'd like more options, more mechanics for the building, and again, it's only going to get better. But as it stands, I think this is another part of the game that is already doing very well. There are things they could improve, but not necessarily as many of them as some of the actual mechanics of the exploration gameplay. And next, we'll talk about optimization a little bit. I don't have a whole lot to say on the subject of optimization. The game runs pretty well for me, but on some of my people that I've played with so far that have lower-end computers, the game hasn't run as well as I would have hoped. Mostly in the RAM department, it eats up more RAM than I would have liked, even on multiplayer. But this is something that they're only going to improve. Right now, though, if you are playing this on like a Nokia flip phone kind of laptop or something like that, you might want to wait a little bit until you can upgrade your setup somewhat, or until they can optimize the game a little bit more. Next up, we'll talk about creative mode. Now, I've played with creative mode a little bit. I did put a video up on the channel just experimenting with the tools for the first time if you'd like to see that. And I am working on a couple builds that don't necessarily rely on the tools a whole lot, but do rely on the full set of furniture and tiles available to us in creative that aren't necessarily available in exploration. First off, we'll talk about the tools. The tools available are very customizable and very advanced. They do need more documentation, I'll say. If you are a very technical person, you probably won't have a lot of trouble getting the hang of them and putting them to their best use. If you're more like me and you are lightly technically aware, but don't necessarily have a familiarity with every detail of how a game works, you'll be able to use the majority of the tools to some effect, but you might not be able to use them to their maximum capacity until you practice more and follow some guide videos and kind of get the hang of them. They have tools to create rivers, mountains, boulders, forests, you name it. And you can change the tree type in the forest. You can change what the banks are made out of in the river tool. There's a lot as far as that goes, and that's just for the terraforming. There's also tools to create prefabs and copy and paste things and rotate them and place things on the XYZ axis and rotate them on the XYZ axis, which is really exciting because that means you're not actually limited to a grid-based block game style. You can build in that style if you want. You don't have to rotate things crazy and put them in strange places, but you can, and having that option is really cool from a creative perspective. There's nothing wrong with having more tools there, even if it makes you a little uncomfortable because you might not be used to having stuff like the entity tool where you can place something like a fence and put it diagonally. But it's really cool to have. Yes, sometimes limits also breed creativity, but having those limits unlocked to those that seek it has nothing but benefits for the game in the long run. And of course, you have the ability to place NPCs and particle emitters, and those things, while they work, are a little bit more janky and clanky and might not have all the documentation you need, and they're not quite perfect yet. But they are there if you want them, and having them at all is pretty impressive, but I do feel like those in particular need a lot of work right now. So if you're getting into the game to create a complicated RPG game where there's a lot of complex NPCs, expect to use some mods. You might not be able to do everything in the base game, but over time, over the next few months, it should become much easier, especially with mods. One of the really cool things about the tools in creative mode is that these are the same tools they used to build the game in the first place, which is just such a cool notion as somebody that is so used to playing games that'll have like a map maker, and it's clearly this extremely rudimentary thing that they put together completely separate from their own tools. No, these are the tools they are using, and they designed them to be easy to use not only to help us, but to help them. And they're only going to get better. But right now, it's kind of a 50-50 depending on what tools you're actually looking at. Though personally, I find them to be pretty interesting. I haven't worked out all of them quite yet, but some people have been doing some absolutely amazing things. Here's a couple builds that really impressed me so far that you might have seen around. This is just the first couple weeks, If this is what people can do early on, things are going to get so much better later on, and there's going to be more guide videos to help you do these kinds of things yourself. As for the tile sets we have so far, we have a number of different wood varieties, we have different stone varieties, and more than anything, we have a ton of soil and terrain tiles, which is really nice to have, because that is something that you don't see in a lot of games off the bat that might be made out of blocks. And of course, you do have a lot of options in terms of the furniture and the lighting. There's a pretty good swath. I'm looking to see that get expanded a little bit over time. But right now, I would say the tile sets are probably stronger than the furniture. A lot of the wood sets, for example, don't have their own matching furniture and fences and doors and windows. They all kind of share crude right now as their set that they all craft into. And then you have lumberjack and hardwood, which creates like classic. You also have some tavern options, though not all of them are available in the exploration mode. Those are, I believe, a full set available in creative, and it's one of my favorites personally, so I hope it comes to exploration mode soon. But for the most part, the tile sets so far, it's a good start. I do want them to add more, but if you're worried about it, personally, I wouldn't be. There's a lot to work with, and of course, if you download some mods like Macaw's Paths and Immersive Masonry and Carpentry, you are going to have no trouble finding something for your build. A lightly modded creative Hytale build is going to be the time of your life, trust me. As far as documentation goes, this is probably one of the roughest parts of creative mode right now. Learning it all yourself is difficult, at least if you're someone like me who might not have all the technical know-how in the world. But if you go and follow a few guides and kind of pick things up by being active on social media and just playing with the tools and experimenting with them, you will eventually get the hang of it to a state where you are building at an accelerated rate, we shall say. So personally, I think one of the roughest parts of creative mode is just the documentation and trying to understand how the tools work and all these different options to customize them. It's a lot to take in all at once. As far as bugs go, there's been a couple of significant ones actually for the creative mode. I've found so far that the creative mode is generally a lot buggier than the exploration mode. It's not bad. It's still pretty polished. But of course, when you're experimenting with things that drastically change the world in sudden ways, you're going to run into a few more performance issues and you're going to run into some bugs. Now, you will know about this if you watched my video where I tried the creative tools for the first time, but I encountered a very interesting bug on my first time trying creative mode, where I didn't have access to the creative inventory, which is also where all of the creative tools are stored, which made playing in creative mode kind of pointless and difficult. And I wasn't really frustrated by this, because it's an early access game. You have to go in with the right expectations. But it was a little annoying, and I was a little worried that I wouldn't be able to fix it, and I created like 3 or 4 worlds, and it kept persisting, and I kept making different types of world, and it wasn't doing anything. And it ended up being that I had to switch into exploration mode in my creative world, close the backpack, and then re-enter creative mode. You can go watch that video to get a better idea how that worked, but if you've been having that problem, there you go. That's how you fix it. Otherwise, I've had some bugs in terms of selecting large groups of blocks and copying and rotating them and whatnot. It works fine, but it's not quite right, and it's not as seamless as it probably ultimately will be. But for the most part, given the kinds of things that the tools let you do, it could be a lot buggier, it could be a lot slower. It works fine enough, for the time being. There's also the whole situation with World Gen V2, which everybody is starting to kind of hop on that train. I don't know if I'm good enough to work with it, but it's pretty impressive. We did finally get some documentation for it officially. The things I'm seeing people create with it are really, really cool. And I can imagine that once people really get the hang of that tool, it's going to have a very high ceiling. People are going to accomplish incredible things, and I can't wait to see what. But personally, I'm not equipped for that at the moment. Maybe someday. I would love to talk a little bit about the mechanics of creative mode, but unfortunately, seeing as there isn't any kind of logic system, and a lot of the more mechanical options are a little bit more nuanced and a little bit more present in things that will get changed, like AI pathing and whatnot, I don't want to speak too much on them. But if you are coming to the creative mode for a highly mechanical experience, personally, you're probably not going to be satisfied with what they have right now. And as far as atmospheric options go, like weather, fog, particles, and music control, the options are kind of half present. You can control the weather, but it's sort of permanent and hard to explain and understand. It'll work, but it's localized and very strange. The same goes for things like chunk tinting. It doesn't operate the way you expect it to, and it's kind of hard to backpedal, but it is there. Personally, I haven't messed much with the fog control yet myself. Things like that I'm really excited to have, but I'm a little scared to mess with because everybody I've seen mess with them seems to have trouble kind of backpedaling them. I'm sure it's possible, and there is sort of an undo button in creative mode, but I thought I'd mention delve into these with some caution if it's in a build you're already most of the way through. As far as particles themselves go, I want to see more from this. It's possible when modding to use particles pretty freely, but in builds, I would love to see some more particle emitter options akin to the Frontier games like Planet Coaster 2. Excellent particle emitters in that game. I would love to see something similar added to this eventually. There's so many great particles already. There's a huge library of them. Let us use them, please, I beg you. And then as far as the modding scene for this game goes, I have made my own mod, a very simple, very rudimentary mod, basically just a weapon mod. And it is out there on CurseForge if you want to go hunt it down. I'm not going to show it off just yet, not until I have the accompanying build ready for a video that I'm trying to put up sometime in the next few days. The build is taking a little while, so bear with me on that one. But in my experience, creating a mod for this game is mostly pretty seamless. It's definitely easier than any other game I've tried, but when you start getting to the parts where you want to do more custom things and make things more advanced, the asset editor itself, which, while an incredible tool to have out of the gate, is not going to offer all of you the options that actually exist. You have to find some of them manually. There is a community ready to help you, but a lot of people are not going to know how to do what you need to do. So you kind of have to just be a little patient. Maybe your more ambitious projects will be easier to create later on down the line. But right now, it's easy to create something, but it's not going to be easy to create everything. It's in a great place. The tools are really impressive. I had a lot of fun making my mod. I would love to do more. I'm probably going to do more, but give it just a little while if you have something extremely ambitious you want to do and you don't necessarily have a lot of the technical know-how yet. It's going to get to a place, I believe, where the documentation is present and the asset editor is advanced enough that it shouldn't give you that much trouble. If you are a technical person, you'll be able to do insane things with this game. If you already know what you're doing, if you're a mod maker for other games already, this game is gonna be a cakewalk for you. As far as installing and using mods and the mods available so far, which is not necessarily within the team's control, it's going extremely well in the modding community so far. As of recording this video, there are 2,842 mods up on the CurseForge page for Hytale. That is unbelievable for a game that came out less than 2 weeks ago. So if you're interested in getting into this game, give the mods a shot. Play vanilla for a little while. Give it, 3 or 5 days of just enjoying exploration mode, trying creative mode a little bit, get a feel for the game, and then go crazy with the mods, because they are so cool. There are so many people making so many unbelievable mods. If you are worried at all about the amount of content in the game, or how much there is to do, or something that you wish was there but is missing, someone else has had that thought and they've made a mod about it. Trust me. Not all of them are necessarily super huge content mods like you would see in Minecraft or Terraria with Calamity or Tremor or the Aether or Twilight Forest or stuff like that. But there is already a lot to mess with. If you combine a lot of these mods, you're going to have a crazy and wild and fun experience. I'm not using a whole lot of mods myself yet. I'm using a lot of decorative mods and a couple of simple quality of life mods, but I'm not delving completely, cannonball straight into the pool on the mods yet. But if you do, you're gonna have a great time. Even with just some light modding, the game already feels so much further along than it is vanilla. As far as compatibility goes, that's in a bit more of a complicated place. It's not necessarily up to the game devs themselves, as it is the mod creators. There's no in-game mod browser yet, so compatibility is handled completely externally. Installing them is fairly easy. If you need to install one, you just go on CurseForge, download the zip or jar file, and drop it into the mods folder of either your world or your Hytale install itself, and then you can select from your world settings menu which ones you want to either enable or disable. Modding overall right now is probably one of the brightest and most exciting parts of the game. If you're not sure about the game, let the mods make up the difference. That is part of the game's vision. What a good assistant you are, Mr. Flynn. Very, very helpful. In conclusion, Hytale's in a pretty great place for starters. It's going to get better over time. There are pain points. It is not a perfect game. If you are bothered by bugs, or if you're running a low-end computer, or if you want to understand creative tools without having any technical know-how whatsoever, you are going to have a slightly rougher time. It's still going to be fun. Personally, for the price of the game, I would wholeheartedly recommend it to almost anybody. If you are looking for Minecraft 2, it's probably not going to fill that quota for you right now. Maybe in a couple years this will be, wow, the spiritual successor to Minecraft in many ways, but that is not the dev vision whatsoever. Personally, as a Minecraft fan myself, and I'd hate to make comparisons, I'm loving this game a lot more, at least because of the freshness, if not also the unique identity of the game, and the dedication to the community, and to the creators, and to the players. Everything about this is really exciting for me, so if you want to check the game out, if you have any curiosity about it, yeah man, give it a shot. It is a great time. It's not perfect. No game is. And yeah, we have a really long dev roadmap ahead of us, surely, but they're moving at a pretty fast pace, and I believe that they're going to continue developing this game for as long as they say they are. There's no reason not to invest emotionally in this game right now, to be honest. Yeah, you never know exactly what's going to happen, but all the signs are really good so far. And the game, even as it stands, the game that we have already, come on, $20? Easy. Sold. And I know $20 is going to be a different amount to everybody. A lot of people are having trouble financially. There's always people that are having trouble financially, myself included. But if you like survival games, you have got to check this game out. It is a great time. It's not necessarily going to be for everybody, but it is exactly as fun as you let it be. Go into it with the right mindset. Understand you're going to have some bugs. Make frequent world backups. Try a little bit of everything. Try mods. Try creative. Try exploration. You will get a nice full picture of what the game has to offer right now. Personally, right now, I think the game's great. And I'm having the most fun with it that I've had in a survival game in so long. It is so fresh, and making content for it has been really fun. If you've never made YouTube videos before, honestly, it's such a great time. I'm having a blast. I think if you've never done it before and you have any interest, this is a great game to do it with, because you can do whatever you want. I have a list of video ideas that is this long. I have a king's scroll of the taxes to be collected worth of video ideas for this game, and this game alone. And I still want to do variety content at some point, but I don't think I'll have to for a while because I'm still having so much fun with this game, and I'm going to for ages, and they just keep rolling out updates. It's crazy. The premise of Hytale was to give players something that is easily moddable, has a lot of content, has a cool story, and overall feels very satisfying to play in a lot of different ways. Not all of that premise has been fulfilled yet, but the parts that have been executed so well and are so impressive just out of the gate that, personally, if this was all the game was going to be, I would still be satisfied. And that might be crazy to say, but I believe it. And it's going to be so fun and exciting to watch this game grow and change, and to watch the community grow and change over time. I'm thrilled to be a part of it from the beginning. I feel like we're going to be bragging about that fact years down the road when we're all still playing. Again, nothing's guaranteed, but that image in my head is kind of hard to clear out. I don't have a lot of doubts about this game. And you could say that I'm glazing, or that I'm sponsored, and yes, I'm a Hytale affiliate, but they have no control over what I say. Except for, saying, use code Quinventory if you're buying the game, or if you're upgrading your edition, if you so wish. It supports the channel. I would greatly appreciate it. I don't have a way to monetize my content otherwise, so it means the world if you do. Don't feel pressured to. There's a lot of great codes you can use out there. Honestly, as long as you're supporting the creator ecosystem somehow, fine by me. I actually forgot to use one when I checked out, so sorry guys. The button was really small, okay? But yes, I'm glazing the game because I like it. I'm having a good time with it, and I think you will too. Not everybody will, but hopefully this video has given you some idea of where the pain points are, so what you want to get out of the game will compare to what the game has to offer right now, and you can kind of decide whether or not you want to play it now, if you want to play it later, or if it's just never going to be for you. And that's fine, man. You don't have to play it. This video mostly exists to talk about this game that I really love and that I'm really excited to share with you. So if you want to give it a shot, give it a shot. If you don't, hey, that's fine, man, too, This is what it is. There's a lot of other survival options out there. It's a pretty big genre, but the genre hasn't had something big like this that's new and fresh for a long time. And it's super promising. It's also got a pretty good community so far. There's a lot of good creators. I'm not going to name any names in case anybody says anything crazy in a few years, but, it's so far so good. Maybe I'm biased, but I think we got a nice little community growing here. And anytime I have to go to a forum or something, or go to the Discord and ask, hey, does anybody know how to do this when modding? Or does anybody know if you can create this in exploration, or if that's creative only? People are always willing to try and help. Not everybody's going to know how to answer your question. The game's still pretty new, but it's got good vibes. There's not really a lot of toxicity, for the most part. The dev update pace is also super promising so far. It's less than 2 weeks and we've already had 2 proper updates out with a little bit of content and a ton of quality of life changes. Mostly that's what they're focusing on right now, but there's a lot of big stuff in the works in the background that should be rolling out in later updates. And avatar presets are coming soon. That's a big one. I cannot wait for that because I want to make you guys shorts showing you how to make characters in the game's character creation. So that just sounds super fun to me. And I think it'd be a nice little bit of bite-sized content for anybody that would be interested in that. So keep an eye out once that rolls out in either the next update or the update after. So yeah, I absolutely love this game. If you give it a try, I hope you love it too. It's not perfect, but it's a great time to get in on it. If you're interested in it at all, join us, man. Get in here and use code Quinventory. But there's a lot of fun to be had, so personally, it has my solid recommendation right now. If the devs somehow found a way to mess up what they have here, you could always roll back to the version we have right now and still have $20 worth of game. A lot more than $20, to be quite frank. And if anybody from the Hytale team happens to be watching this, thank you guys for your work. It's such an impressive feat to not only have this game, but to have it in the excellent state that it's in. I hope my criticisms in this video weren't too harsh, and I kind of hope the same for my positive statements as well. I hope they weren't too dramatized. But it's hard not to talk positive about the game, because personally right now, I'm having a great time with it. I absolutely love it. All the props to the dev team and everything they've accomplished so far, and Simon is clearly a strong leader.
This game has the brightest future of any game I've seen in a while, and if you haven't checked it out yet, I'd recommend it, but this video should tell you whether or not you'll actually enjoy it. If you don't think you're going to enjoy it, wait a while. Check back in a year. It'll probably look vastly different. But I think that's going to do it for this video, guys. Hopefully this video was entertaining or informing to any of y'all. If it was, you can feel free to like or subscribe. I'm trying to grow the channel, trying to get you guys more content. My keyboard died, so that makes things a little bit difficult. I'm using this little thing right now, and a bunch of the keys don't work, so it's a little temporary stand-in, but if it works, it works. Shout out to my sister for that one. But yeah, feel free to like and subscribe if you guys so wish. Leave a comment. Tell me what you think of the game so far after a couple of weeks. How have things really settled in the game for you? How's your Forever World progressing? Have you made any mods? How do you like creative? Tell me what your experience is with the game so far. Help the people finding this video who haven't played it yet make up their mind, you know, and I'm curious to know too, what's everybody else thinking? And without further ado, guys, thank you so much for watching. I'm having so much fun making these videos. I got more coming. I got a really cool build coming to match my mod. That reveal is going to be pretty fun, I think. And as always, guys, I will catch you in the next one.